Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be talking about how to get the blues rock tone. Now this is very difficult to do because blues rock is a very broad term. It involves music from the 60s and the 70s, and definitely till now there are still many blues rock bands that still do it. However, they all sounded very different and they were using very different effects, and of course they sounded very different also because the guitarists were very creative and also had their own styles. Now, for the purposes of this video, I'll focus only on the tone. When it comes to the blues rock tone, I like to categorize it into multiple categories. And this is why I have decided to create a mini series called The Chronicles of Guitar Tone. This specific series will be focused on the blues rock tone. Without further ado, let's get into today's tone and topic. Now, do me a favor and hit the subscribe button, like this video, share it. I'm trying to grow this channel, so your support is highly appreciated. Thank you so much. Now, here's the thing. I am using my Telecaster right into the fuzz pedal. This is the Constellation by the Crazy Tube Circuit. I'm setting the volume at 12 o'clock, the gain at 0. This is the Tone Bender 2 setting, and this is going right into the VOX amp, which is behind me here. The chair is covering it, but anyway, and the VOX is an AC30. I'm setting it with the reverb built in it just a little bit, so it gives like that spacey kind of thing. Sounds really good. I love that spring reverb in the VOX. It's really nice. And then it's going into the Ironman 2 attenuator, reactive attenuator, which it sounds great. This is why it sounds great, actually. And the speakers, I'm going with the speakers, the two blue Alnico speakers, 15 watts, and the Bluesbreaker combo. So one thing I want to focus on is not the guitar and it's not the amp. I think in other videos I might focus more on the amp, distortion and overdrive. But for this video I just want to talk about the fuzz. Now, fuzz pedals, there are probably, I don't know, almost like 20 original circuits, and there are many circuits that take elements from those and they're coming out by the day at this point. But in the 60s, especially late 60s, I think there were only a handful of original designs that stand on their own. And those original designs are the Fuzz Face, the Octavio, the Tone Bender. And by the very late 60s, early 70s, the Big Muff started appearing. Now, we can't cover all of these types for multiple reasons. The main reason is that they all sound very different, and at the same time, they might not always sound the best in every situation. For example, one fuzz pedal might sound great with a Tele, but others might sound less great or better with other guitars or other amps or speakers. So many times you'll see that fuzz pedals are kind of unpredictable. You really have to try them. But one of my favorites, or my top favorite, is actually the Tone Bender Mark II circuit, which is the one in the Constellation right now. I'm setting the volume at 12 o'clock, the gain at 0. Why is that? Because I'm trying to get so much of the characteristics and the clarity of the VOX amp. If you have played a VOX amp, you'll notice something about it, is that no matter how much you drive it, it maintains amazing clarity that I can't find in any other amp that I usually play. So let me demonstrate to you what I mean. The reverb is still on, but this is just basically my guitar into the amp. the second thing you will notice is that I'm not using lots of overdrive. It is a little bit dirty, but not a lot. So just focus on the overdrive, how much overdrive I'm using. Lots of clarity, lots of chime, of course, and the reverb just sounds amazing. I'm always with the idea that if your tone with no pedals sound really good, then you don't need necessarily the pedals. But if you really want to use the fuzz or the delay or whatever you have, your bass tone or the tone you have with the guitar and the amp should be really good. You can't fix a tone with just using a pedal. That's my opinion, at least. Now I'm turning on back the pedal, and this is how it sounds like. Sounds really good. Now this is a very simple tone. You can use delay, you can use reverb. I can take out the reverb, but it just sounds really good on the VOX. I felt like I want to use reverb with fuzz and VOX sound. And just one thing, experiment with fuzz pedals. Fuzz pedals can surprise you. And if there is no fuzz pedals you like, well, you're free and entitled to have your own opinion, but I gotta say, you probably are missing out. Fuzz is not really supposed to be very clean. I like it to be a little bit dirty. Like if I'm playing a little bit of a dirty riffs, like kind of like this. Now the other thing I want to mention is that fuzz pedals really sound good when you turn the volume on the guitar down, meaning this is the volume all the way up. I'll keep it in the bridge position, so this is all the way up. But if I roll off some of the volume, it sounds like this. Middle position, same volume. Now it sounds a little bit harsh to the ears, just a little bit, because there is a treble bleed. It's basically like a small resistor, I think, that is located somewhere in this area where basically when you roll off the volume, you still maintain that treble frequency and you don't lose it. The other thing is, other than playing with the volume, is the touch sensitivity. So volume all the way up, bridge position. That's one way to play it. The other way is very good stuff. Now this is a very different format, I think, to previous videos I have made. It's not really going through all the effects and really telling you how to set it up. When you set the amp and you set the fuzz and you set the guitar, it's very subjective. It's gonna sound good in some situations, gonna sound not as good in other situations. I think the most important thing is to experiment. I'm leaning towards using less and less effects because I don't want to insinuate that you need to use delay or reverb or tremolo or modulation or overdrive or any of that. But in this specific video, the focus was on fuzz, and just the spring reverb sounded amazing. Now, if you really want to use delay, I would go with tape delay. In fact, let me play a little bit with the tape delay. I already set it to a very subtle setting because I'm putting the tape delay in front of the amp. This is the way they were doing it in the 60s and the 70s. The trick is to make it sound very subtle. Now, just reduce the mix as much as you can get away with without sounding too washy or without not sounding like anything at all. So I just turned on the delay and it sounds like this. It actually sounds good. It adds a little bit to the atmosphere, but it's not needed. That's the point. I just turned off the delay and the fuzz. I changed the fuzz like on the Constellation circuit from the fuzz to the tone bender. Didn't change the settings, still at 12 o'clock, and it sounds like this. Really sounds really good. I think treble boosters add something unique. It still has that vintage vibe. It's very different sounding from the fuzz, which adds variety. Hopefully you've liked this video. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. I really wish you can subscribe, like, and share it on the gear page.